Sean Myers now joined by the head coach of the Mount Pleasant area Vikings softball team, Chris Brunson, before his team opens Class 3A playoffs. The Vikings, the number 13 seed. And first off, Chris, congratulations on getting back to the playoffs. I know you played in a very competitive section, ultimately finishing in fourth place in a section, but you're going against some great teams day in and day out. How did that maybe prepare your team for a postseason?
I think most of our section games, we did get blown out a couple times, but most of the section games were real tight. We lost a couple, 1-2. We lost the 2-0 game. We lost the 2-1 game and a 2-1 game. And then some of the wins were tight. I think we had a 12-11 maybe against South Allegheny. And, it's that everything was pretty tight. Early, I think there may have been one, that was lopsided, but everything else was really tight. It was, from top to bottom, it was pretty tough, and arguably Southmoreland might be the best team in 3A.
Yeah, and certainly they were recognized as one of the top seeds. They get the number 2 seed. We'll talk specifically about seeding in just a bit, but I know that you don't have a ton of seniors on your roster. You have a youthful team. You have a ton of sophomores, some freshmen, and mostly juniors as well. So with that kind of lack of veterans in terms of the seniors, how have you seen some of the younger players develop, and how do your 2 seniors, Krista and Sophia, play maybe an even larger role than normal?
Yeah, ahead of time, we talked to Sophia and Krista about, really having to step up and be a leader. And, from the state championship team, those were the 2 kids that were left that were still on the field. Some of the other girls did some running and some subbing and some things, but we were really looking for leadership through those 2 kids, and we got it for the most part. We were still looking, for some of that magic kind of get on a run thing. We were kind of like a bipolar team this year. We would go and play a good game against Franklin Regional, and then a not so good game against a team that isn't as good as Franklin Regional, or Connellsville or PT or something like that, and it just. We never really got that like playing your best ball kind of thing. So we did play pretty good here, maybe 4 out of the was some rain and things, and it just kind of screwed it up. We never really kind of got into a groove.
You talked about
as far as the kids. Yeah. As far as the younger team, we start at any time. We may start 2 freshmen. We start 2 sophomores. And the bulk of the team is the junior class, and they're, they're ready they've been there, they saw the big lights with the states, and, we were in the playoffs last year. We won a game against North Catholic and then lost to Avonworth, eventual state champions. And, so we'll have them ready. The kids will be ready to go, and they'll be excited. And, once you get into that bracket, anything can happen.
Pitching-wise, it's been a little bit of a timeshare for your team. Sophia, as we mentioned, a senior, and then you've also thrown a sophomore in Gigi Stanek. How do you approach that heading into the playoffs? Is it a blessing to have 2 options, or would you rather have one clear-cut ace?
I'd much rather have 2, and any coach that tells you they'd rather just, have a clear-cut ace, I'm not sure they'd be completely telling you the truth. It's always nice to have options. Gigi's come a long way from last year. We tried to kind of force it on her a little bit, and she just kind of kept giving it back, and so eventually we had to just kind of like ride Sophia. But this year it's been a group effort with those 2, and they've complemented each other very well. One's come in relief for the other, and the other's coming in relief for the other, and we've had them where they've gone the distance. Gigi's thrown some completes and Sophia's thrown some completes, and it's just kind of like a mix and match, and it's nice to have that option.
So it is a full bracket in 3A, 16 teams. You get the number 13 seed and go against number 4 Burrell. How did that seeding align with what you anticipated?
When we did not get the hits we needed to get down the stretch there and lost a couple close games, I knew we were going to be the 4 seed, and we were going to have to play a really tough game in the first round. In 3A, everybody kind of jokes around that anything can happen, which is true, But, I expected 3A is pretty loaded as far as the teams. You can go down the list there, and there's a lot of, traditionally tough programs. They put kids in college, and the brand of ball that they play. There's programs. It's not just maybe 1 year they're real big and then they fall off for 2 or 3 years or whatever. But there's a lot of different names in 3A there. There was a lot of teams that dropped down from 4A that really made the thing competitive this year.
Lastly, we mentioned you're going against Burl, so us at the Westmoreland Sports Network, we're guaranteed that one of our Westmoreland teams moves on to the next round. What would be the biggest keys for it to be your team that moves on?
Trying to figure out a way to beat Katie. She's a heck of a pitcher, and she's around the zone a lot. She can go up and down and in and out. She's kind of a special kid that way. Most kids can do one or the other. She can do both. We're just have to have some really good at bats off of her, have some timely hitting, and then, allow her to make some mistakes, hopefully, and just capitalize on those.
Well, Chris, thanks so much for doing this. Congrats again on getting into the playoffs, and good luck going forward.
Thank you, Sean.